Hey, so I want to circle back on McDonald's. Ticker symbols on the screen, MCD. The last time we looked at them was on June 8th. So let's look at some news, just what's been going on with McDonald's between then and today. And then we'll wrap up with some technical analysis. So before we get started, as we're going through this, if you want to add any insights that you've come across on your own, feel free to do that. Or if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer that. Uh, but yeah, with that said, let's just see what's been going on. So again, just real brief recaps here. So over the past month, one item that came up is apparently they're having some struggles opening new restaurants in the British area, England, I imagine. Um, and they're just saying it takes close to like 3 years now to open a restaurant uh, in terms of their British expansion plans. I guess the whole COVID situation kind of derailed it. I'm sure it was already a long process, but maybe it was just like 1 to 2 years, and then all of a sudden, now it's up to 3 years. Again, I don't think it's really gonna hurt the company. It's just slowing them down in that region. So we'll see how that develops over time. Next, we have McDonald's. It has Japan hikes prices in a city center. It would raise prices at about 184 branches. And this is to help absorb for rent costs. Apparently, rent has gone up, especially in that country. And so, to help with the rent costs, they've decided to raise prices in the city center. So, of the 3,000 stores, it looks like only about 184 are going to receive that type of hit. I have to imagine that's the more, um, what is it, more affluent location, more money, so it shouldn't really impact those people as much. But still, I mean, just something to notice there. Next, we have this whole Grimace returns, which is fueling this awakening of the brand. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this, especially if you go to McDonald's, how they brought back this Grimace shake. This is part of their plan. I mean, they want to bring back some of these old characters. I believe the Hamburglar is supposed to make an appearance at some point later this year, if it hasn't been seen already. Uh, but that's kind of the plan. They want to bring back these old characters and kind of show that uh, they just want to kind of not rebrand themselves, but they want to kind of have partnerships, sort of like uh, if it wasn't this article, another one goes into how they partnered with like Travis Scott and all these different, uh, celebrity people. Well, this is just a different route where they want to try to bring back old characters and have a collab almost within itself. And apparently, they had a pretty big support for this Grimace, and so this probably will continue forward as long as it continues to be successful. Uh, the next one on this page is how there's a strategic awakening for long term growth. They're trying to reinvent the golden arches to drive success and customer satisfaction. So, the long term growth strategy, I'm sure this isn't new to other restaurants or even businesses, but a lot of their long term growth strategy is uh, revolving around uh, going digital, more digital. They're emphasizing deliveries. They want to focus on development of their restaurant. Uh, so nothing really new. It's just they're diving into it. I think also drive-through is a big one where we're probably going to see a decent cut in um, I guess employment costs, because as they go more into digital and emphasizing the drive-through, they might be able to cut staff at their tens, if not hundreds of thousands of stores, because instead of having a working staff of maybe say 5 to 10 people per store, because of the digital, because of the automated drive-through that they're working on, they might be able to cut that down to just 2 or 3 people to run the restaurant, and they're going to save a lot of costs doing that. But that's kind of the strategy here. Of course, we'll see how this plays out over time. Next, we have just a quick mention how McDonald's is actually owned 70% by institutions. So people like me, I am not an institution, so we just make up 30%. And of course, the big concern with something like that is if one of these big investment companies like a JP Morgan or something, who I'm not sure what they specifically own, but just hypothetically, if they were to own, say, 10% of McDonald's, and all of a sudden they just were like, no, we don't want this anymore, that could drive the price down in a very significant way very quickly. So we just want to pay attention to that. I don't imagine that scenario taking place, but of course, if anything were to go disastrously wrong, something like that could play out. And as if us and individual investors aren't paying attention, we could miss out on that and take a big loss. Again, I don't imagine that happening. It's just that's always the big concern when you see something like that. But again, it's not just one institution; it's many that make up 70%. So just wanted to bring that up. And then also McDonald's is adding some menu items. Mainly it's like breakfast sandwiches from what I saw. And as far as the spiciness, I guess it's going to be like little pieces of jalapeno is going to be in the cheese within these breakfast sandwiches. So if you're into that, it looks like it's coming your way, if not already. Another interesting thing was this. Apparently in India, tomatoes are going through the roof. And as the article says, McDonald's drops tomatoes from India offerings, citing quality concerns as prices surge. So India in tomatoes hit a supply shortage, and the quality concern, I'm not sure what that is. I have to imagine it's more the supply shortage, but then with the quality concern, again, I didn't see exactly what triggered it. If it was like just a bad crop in the region, and that's leading to low supply. But regardless, there is low supply, which has led to McDonald's at this time just doing away with tomatoes in India. That's pretty nuts to hear, but yeah, so that's something that happened. Kind of take that for granted, but that's something. And then the last thing that I came across was McDonald's China owner, Carlyle Truster. They plan a $4 billion exit. So as far as that region, and I guess I'll just wrap up here. So Carlyle Group and Truster Capital are planning to raise $4 billion from wealth funds to buy part of their stakes in McDonald's Corp operations in Hong Kong and mainland China. So the plan there is, and again, based on how I interpreted it, it sounds like these a handful of this group, they want to exit, and so now the other partners in that group are trying to accumulate apparently $4 billion so that these people can be bought out and new people can come in, or the current partners can expand their percentage of ownership. Either way, it really shouldn't impact. It's just some of these bigger owners, they're cycling through for whatever reason. Maybe they made their profit, they want to get out at this time. Whatever the case, it really shouldn't impact. It's just a big move in China, and so it's worth mentioning. But that wraps up the news here. So let's pivot into our technical analysis. And before we do that, I think it's best if we just look into where the company stood last time we took a look, which was June 8th. So on June 8th, we noted it was trading at 281, which it's marked red here. So that was at a resistance point the way I saw it. And it looks like we even noted that here, that resistance at that point was 280. It trading at 281. I didn't think it was a good buy at that time, and we had buy points marked at 250 and 261. So of course we'll see how that has developed over this past month roughly. We also left a note for ourselves saying that it's pulling back from its new highs, possible by the dip opportunity, and it's been in an uptrend since 2014. So let's take a quick look and just see what's been going on. So right away, I mean, we're looking at a very high level view going back to 2019. So let's just zoom in, and overall we can see the uptrend is still intact. If anything, it's overshooting it. So it's probably not going to be a good buy for me at this point. But let's kind of dig in a little bit further, and then we'll assess it. So let me get this off to the side here. So again, June 8th was the last time we looked, and that was somewhere in here at 281, it looks like. So 281, surprisingly, that was like down here in this tail region, but this is the week that we were looking at. And so just the timing of it, we must have caught it right here at the very top of that uptrend. Since then, it has continued up. It's just been trading up and down, but favoring the upside more. So we can just update that from 281 to now 294. It has continued to go up. I believe these are like all-time highs. Yeah, these are all-time highs. It's never been higher, so this is like new territory. I do imagine this uptrend will continue on. It's just, again, I'm more looking forward to pull back to the bottom of the trend to kind of capitalize the most for this. And again, McDonald's isn't, I would have to run the numbers to see what the average return is considering this uptrend. It's a decent growth, but overall it's labeled as a value company. I guess what we could do while we're here, it shouldn't take too long. Let's just go to end of 22. If this uptrend were to continue, it's at about 249. So let me bring out the calculator. So 249. And then if we were to go a full year to here, we have about 271. Okay, so minus 271. So 22. So on average, over the course of the year, assuming it's, just gradually going to increase. So for example, if we bought at the very peak right now and just watched it perform, didn't make any changes, didn't add anything, and just watched it for the entire year, and it finished at the very top, we're going to make about 9%. That's what it equals out to. And of course, that will just continue over time. The thing is, the way I'm playing it is, if we can catch it down here towards the bottom, and then, of course, we're going to make that 8 or 9% most likely. But then if it's able to finish up at the top, well, now it goes from 8% to possibly like 15 to 20%. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting for, and that's the strategy of what's going on here. But overall, McDonald's is a good company. It's consistently growing, and that's why it's on our list. And I'm sure that's why we're all kind of paying attention to it. But taking another step back, so if I were to buy this one, there's a couple points. It looks like I marked 250, 261. So going back to June 8th here, 250 was the bottom of the trend line. That did not come up. We also marked 261 because back here in January through about March of this year, 261 seemed to be strong support. It tried to break below a couple times, but investors just wouldn't let it. They felt like 261, that is the number. And so we're going to keep that. We're definitely keeping 261. That's probably my point of interest. What we've done with other companies that have this type of trend happening is normally I would do the same thing. So here we are today. The bottom of the trend line today and this week is 252. So it's gone up $2. But we're going to try to project this out to next month just to see that'll roughly be when I expect to touch base on this again, mid-August. Mid-August, it'll be trading about 254 would be the bottom of that channel. So I'm just going to update that 250 to 254. I am going to keep 261 in play, and that is the number I'm going to still focus on, 261, which again, that's that green line here, which we've seen multiple months of support in the recent past. In terms of resistance, we have 280. If I were to look at that date, when we last looked, that is the top of the channel. 281 it looks like. I said 280, but looking at it now, it looks like it was 281. If I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm just going to project this out, our uptrend, to roughly mid-August. The top of the channel would be 285. So I'm going to update 280 to 285. And I guess in terms of like, I guess it's still too early to say, but we could argue that there seems to be maybe some resistance here, right around 290, between 295 and 298. It seems to be hitting its head there. Again, it's done it once, and now we could argue it's doing it twice. Will it fall all the way? I don't know, but I think for now and our purposes, I'm gonna just put in a little bit of a resistance line. I'm not gonna make it a full bold point, but I'll make it a half. So it's there, but it's faint because I'm not sure if it's like not enough has been seen yet for me to like confirm it. If this falls more heavily, back into like the 280s, low 280s, then yeah, I feel like there might be some hesitation there, and that's the reason behind that line. I do want to just point out one other thing, that at least the last time it's kind of overshot the uptrend. It's over about a month, 2 months, it fell all the way down to the bottom of the uptrend. There's no guarantee that's going to happen here, but that did happen last time. I'm just going to scroll back again. I guess we could argue here was another time where it slightly outpaced it. It did fall close to the bottom, and that's pretty much it. The only thing that kind of breaks it is we could argue, yeah, it exceeded the uptrend here, but it didn't fall the whole way. I think this one's different. I think if anything, this exceeding the uptrend is most similar to this one, only because of the amount that it's gone above and beyond the uptrend, and also the duration of how long it's been above that uptrend. Here was only a month. This one is closer to like 3 months at this point, going back to April all the way up to now. So that's like 3 or 4 months where it might be doing something different. Let me add in a trend line here, see how this looks. It might be doing something like this. I mean, I wouldn't put too much weight behind this one, only because it's so new. I don't expect this one to really last that long, but it's something worth noting here. Yeah, so going back to October, it's really accelerating here. Again, I don't think that's I'm not going to put too much weight behind it, but I could see someone doing that. I can understand the rationale behind it. It's just looking long term. I think if anything, I want this one to pull back inside that purple uptrend. I want to see it hit the bottom here, and that's when I'd look to add this one. But I'm going to leave that mark in there for now just to see how this one evolves over the next month. We should get new quarter earnings. We'll see how it performs, how it's doing, and how that kind of impacts the stock price. But overall, I can update the dates. Resistance price, we updated that to 285. So I'm comfortable there. So as far as the note, pulling back from its new highs, not really. It did pull back, but got right back up again. Possible by the dips. Yeah, that's still true. And it's been in this uptrend since 2014. That is still the case today. So just a quick recap before we close out. McDonald's still red. To me, it's above and beyond that uptrend, so I'm not looking to add it at this time. But it's trading at 294. I have buy points marked at 254 and really 261. I think 261 is my ideal price today, with resistance at 285, which is just the upper limit or upper end of the range for that uptrend. Again, it's exceeding that, so I feel like it's probably a little overpriced today. And then our note, of course, is it's slightly pulling back or finding resistance, it looks like, at we could even add that in around 296. We can add that point in because, again, it's kind of hitting its head there. So I'll add that in, and I'll make 296 our bold figure because that's a point of interest, more so than the 285 right now. Still possible by the dips. Yes, I have that. If it were to dip, I would most likely add in if I saw it. And that uptrend since 2014, that is still intact. So that wraps this up. If you want to add any insight to any articles that you maybe saw in the past month, or just anything that caught your attention, if you want to add it in, I'd love to read that. Or if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I'd be happy to do my best to answer that. But otherwise, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.